England's elimination against Argentina produced one of the most painful images of the World Cup. The English team had taken the lead, held a place in the final in its hands for several minutes, and began to believe it could control the match. However, when England tried to protect its 1-0 advantage and began dropping deeper, Argentina found the space, energy, and confidence it needed to completely change the course of the game. After the match, Thomas Tuchel appeared before the media looking enormously frustrated. The England manager made no attempt to hide his disappointment, but he also refused to search for excuses to justify the defeat. His analysis was direct and, at times, surprisingly self-critical. He acknowledged that England had underestimated Argentina's ability to respond and admitted that his team had made an extremely serious mistake by believing it could defend a one-goal advantage against the world champions. It hurts a lot because we were close. We had the lead, and for a while we felt the match was exactly where we wanted it to be. But I have to be honest, we made the wrong decisions. I made the wrong decisions. After going 1-0 up, we thought more about protecting what we had than continuing to do what had allowed us to get into that position, the coach began. Tuchel said England's goal completely changed his players' mentality. Up until that point, the English side had been aggressive, had pressed Argentina in its own half, and had tried to prevent the South American team from comfortably controlling the ball. But once England took the lead, it gradually began dropping deeper. According to the manager, that change had not necessarily been a direct instruction from the bench, although he acknowledged that he had also failed to deliver the right message to prevent it from happening. When you score in a World Cup semifinal, it is natural for the fear of losing what you have just achieved to appear. The players know what is at stake. They know there is less and less time remaining, and that they are very close to reaching a final. But against Argentina, you cannot allow that fear to control your decisions. That is what happened to us. We stopped attacking with the same conviction and started thinking too much about the clock. The German manager was even more forceful when discussing the strategy England adopted during the closing stages. Tuchel admitted that trying to hold on to a 1-0 scoreline against a team like Argentina was practically impossible. They were not the opponent against whom we should have tried to protect a 1-0 lead. It was not the time, and they were definitely not the opponent. Argentina has demonstrated for many years that it can survive matches that appear to be lost. We saw it in this tournament. We saw it in previous matches, and we saw it again tonight. They are a team that never stops believing when it is behind. Tuchel acknowledged that England behaved as though its advantage were larger than it actually was. Instead of searching for a second goal that could have put the match away, his team allowed Argentina to establish itself closer and closer to the English penalty area. Perhaps subconsciously, we thought 1-0 would be enough. That was our biggest mistake. Against other teams, maybe you can defend for 10 or 15 minutes inside your own penalty area. Against Argentina, every minute you spend defending that close to your own goal increases their confidence. You give them life. You allow them to feel that the goal is coming. The manager also admitted that he had, to a certain extent, underestimated Argentina's ability to maintain its composure when the situation became desperate. We did not underestimate their talent. We all know the quality they have. We know what Messi represents, we know their forwards, and we know how experienced their players are. But we probably did underestimate their emotional ability to continue playing under extreme pressure. We believed that if we took the lead and maintained our organization, they would begin to rush their decisions. The opposite happened. Argentina did not become desperate. It increased the pace, but it did not completely lose its organization. It continued moving the ball, searching for spaces, and waiting for its opportunity. We were the team that began making rushed decisions. We were the ones who lost our composure. For Tuchel, that emotional difference ultimately became just as important as any tactical factor. England had players capable of controlling the match, but it began clearing the ball without any clear destination and stopped finding its attacking players. Every time we won the ball back, we gave it away too quickly. We could not breathe. We could not complete 3 or 4 passes that would have allowed us to move out of our own half. That caused the match to be played permanently near our penalty area. When you face players of this quality, sooner or later, they are going to create an opportunity. The England manager also addressed the extremely tense atmosphere that existed from the opening minutes. The beginning of the match was marked by stoppages, arguments, and a large number of fouls. Tuchel admitted that the situation bothered him because it prevented the game from developing any rhythm. The opening minutes did not feel like a soccer match. There was a foul, an argument, or a stoppage in practically every play. I did not like it. I do not think either team was truly able to play during that period. There was too much tension, too much anxiety, and too much desire to send physical messages. However, Tuchel avoided placing the blame exclusively on the Argentine players or on his own team. In his opinion, the atmosphere created during the days leading up to the match directly influenced what happened on the field. All week, people talked about history, the rivalry, previous encounters, and issues that had absolutely nothing to do with the players who were on the field today. The match was presented as something much bigger than a soccer semifinal. Of course, the players hear all of that. They do not live in isolation. When you constantly promote the idea that a match represents a historic battle, you cannot then be surprised when the opening minutes look exactly like a battle. A lot of people fueled this rivalry. Television programs, newspapers, former players, and people who wanted to transform the match into something else. I believe that had consequences. Tuchel explained that England had tried to distance itself from that narrative before the match. The manager had asked his players to focus exclusively on soccer, but he admitted that it was impossible to completely ignore everything being said around the semifinal. We tried to stay away from it. We told the players they should not carry the burden of past conflicts and that they did not have to represent previous generations. But when you spend 5 days hearing that you are about to play one of the most emotionally charged matches in history, it is inevitable that you enter the field with a different kind of energy. The manager believed that the initial tension ended up hurting England in particular because it prevented his team from establishing the rhythm it had prepared. We wanted to play quickly, find our attackers, and move the ball from one side to the other, but the match was constantly being stopped. We struggled to find our rhythm. Argentina feels very comfortable in emotional, physical matches with a lot of individual battles. We accepted that type of game for far too long. Despite his criticism, Tuchel made it clear that he did not believe Argentina had operated outside the permitted limits. In his view, Lionel Scaloni's team understood the context better and knew how to use it to its advantage. I am not accusing Argentina of anything. They competed the way they usually compete. They were intense, aggressive, and defended every ball as though it were the last one. That is part of their identity. The referee allowed a certain level of contact, and both teams had to adjust. Argentina adjusted better. The England manager also had words of praise for Scaloni. According to Tuchel, the Argentine coach got his substitutions right and managed to keep his team's pressure going until the final whistle. Scaloni understood that we were beginning to drop deeper. He placed more players near our penalty area and forced us to defend lower and lower. His substitutions had an impact. Ours did not give us the control we were looking for. That responsibility belongs to me. Tuchel insisted that the defeat could not be explained solely by Messi's brilliance or by one individual play. Although he acknowledged the influence of Argentina's captain, he maintained that England had created the conditions that allowed Argentina to come back. It is very easy to say that Messi appeared and decided the match. Obviously, he still has the ability to produce a play that very few players can even imagine. But before that play, there were many minutes during which we stopped playing. We did not lose only because of one moment of brilliance. We lost because we allowed Argentina to remain alive. The manager pointed out that a team with Argentina's level of experience can never be considered defeated while the difference remains only one goal. They have experienced this situation many times. They have world champions, players who have competed in finals, and a captain who has faced practically every possible situation. When the match enters its final minutes, they do not experience the same fear as other teams. They trust that an opportunity will appear. Tuchel admitted that his feelings on the sideline began to change when he saw that England was no longer able to move the danger away from its penalty area. I felt that we needed the second goal. I thought about it several times. I also felt that we were moving further and further away from getting it because we were no longer recovering the ball in positions from which we could attack. When you give up on threatening the opponent, all of their players can move forward. That is exactly what happened. We should have continued searching for the 2-0 goal. Maybe Argentina would have equalized anyway, but we should have gone down while remaining faithful to our plan, not by abandoning it. That is the most difficult part to accept. The manager said he would not hold any individual player responsible. According to him, the defeat was the result of an inadequate collective response to the pressure. I will not single anyone out. The players are devastated. They gave everything they had and came extremely close to reaching a final. The problem was not a lack of commitment. The problem was that we began playing for the match to end instead of playing to win the match. For Tuchel, that difference summarized what happened during the decisive minutes. We looked at the clock too much. We thought about how much time was left and stopped thinking about what we needed to do with the ball. Argentina never looked at the clock while waiting for the end. It looked at the clock to see how much time it still had to come back. That mental difference was enormous. Finally, the manager congratulated Argentina and acknowledged that the world champions had once again demonstrated why they are so difficult to eliminate. We have to accept the result. I congratulate Argentina because it believed until the final play. We had the opportunity to put the match away, and we did not do it. Great teams punish you for that. We underestimated their ability to come back. We thought we could protect a one-goal advantage, and we paid the highest possible price. There is no gentle way to say it. We were only a few minutes away from the final, and we allowed the opportunity to slip away. Before leaving, Tuchel offered one final reflection on the rivalry and the pain England would carry after its elimination. I hope that in the future we can talk about these matches because of the soccer and not because of conflicts that belong to other generations. Today we saw too much tension at the beginning and a great match at the end. Argentina was better in the decisive moments. We will have to live with that, learn from it, and come back. Right now it hurts enormously, but when some time has passed, we will have to look at this match honestly. We did not lose because Argentina was invincible. We lost because, for several minutes, we behaved as though the match had already been won. Against a team like Argentina, that is a mistake that never goes unpunished.